I'm going to take you through some common issues on the John Deere 4710. And when I do these videos, these are not issues that I would consider major. And definitely I would consider all these issues normal maintenance type issues. So by no means am I trying to deter anybody from purchasing a machine. I'm just trying to show you what you could expect to have for maintenance if you were to own one of these, let's say for 5 or 10 years. So one of the real common things on any 4000 series machine is going to be the front knuckles. The front knuckle seals on the wheels, just like any other tractor, that's a real common issue. The John Deere's, it's probably just as normal as a Kubota or any other machine, the Bobcat even. The front knuckles, those will need to be changed, right? And you're talking about $100 in seals. If you can do it yourself, there's no labor. And if you pay someone, you're probably looking at about an hour to change that. So that's the seals on the knuckles. The other thing on these is the plastics, right? All the plastic on all the 4000 series machines, it all gets brittle, and it really is only an issue if you keep this machine outside and the sun gets to it. The sun is going to make that plastic really brittle, and what you'll see is that you'll get cracks. You get cracks. This one here is absolutely spotless. There's no cracks at all on this machine. But if you had this machine in the sun for 5 years, expect to replace the hood, expect to replace the cowl, right? And that's all readily available parts you can get online, fairly affordable. I think you can replace all the plastic on this machine for $1,000. That includes the grill, the lights, the hood, the cowls, everything, the side panels, about $1,000 for everything. So it's definitely an issue, and it's definitely common across all the 4000 series, and it's really prevalent if you leave it outside, okay? So the other real common issue on these and all the 4000 series is the fuel gauge and the temperature gauge on the cluster. Those typically, one of those will typically be bad on any machine that you see that's this age and in the 4000 series. And if they're both not bad, that's a good sign, because that means the machine was probably kept inside, right? So typically you'll see one, if not both of those bad. And when I say bad, I mean it may read inaccurately, it may not read at all, it may be stuck over the reading area. So that's real common. So temperature gauge, fuel gauge, real common issue. And the reason why people don't change those is because you have to change the whole cluster to fix those. I do have some videos on my channel that can show you how to fix those in some scenarios. So check that out if you do have one that's broken. I do have two videos, one for the temperature gauge, one for the fuel gauge. The next common thing is going to be your steering adjuster. This guy right here. So the real common thing on these machines is that people use the steering wheel to hoist themselves either on or off the machine. And unfortunately, the way this is engineered, there's a aluminum adjustment with some teeth underneath this steering wheel mechanism that will break. And so what happens is the steering wheel will just flop around, or it'll have only one position out of the 6 positions it should have. And so that's a real common thing. And this is really also another common thing. This handle will snap right off. And that's really common. And really that's because it's being misused. But in all fairness, the engineering on that wasn't exactly great, so it's not clear how to use that. So that's a real common issue. The other common issue on these will be fuses and or the relays, right? The relays on these are real common to go. And relays, you can get them, they're really unaffordable, but that's a common thing on these is the relays. So kind of keep that in mind. And I would say that kind of gives you a pretty decent overview of what some common issues would be. You may have a hose here and there that leaks a little bit, and you may want to change it. You may not have to. You can probably live with it. But the John Deere quality is super high on these, and these machines, like I said, are bulletproof. And you're not going to have anything major. I consider all these issues minor in my mind and just regular maintenance items. So I hope that's helpful with the John Deere 4710 common issues. If you have any questions, just reach out on my channel. I wanted to add on to that common issue list. This is extremely common, and I'm going to say every single John Deere I've owned, and I've owned over 100 machines, I would say. And I've owned at least 30 or 40 4000 series John Deere machines. Every single John Deere 4000 series, this is the blinker, the left and right turn, and the hazard switch. This is always bad, and I don't know why this always goes bad, but whatever's inside this mechanism for the hazards and the left and right turn signals, which power these guys back here, this guy's always bad. And really, this is not a big deal because it takes about half an hour to change. You just pop the screws off the dash, right? And you pull off this box, which is the switch box below it. So it's a half an hour to change it, and it's about $90 to buy the John Deere one. You can get an aftermarket one for much less. I wouldn't recommend that because with the electronics, I always use the John Deere factory one. But you can go cheaper on this if you want. So for $50 for the aftermarket, or $100 or $90 for the John Deere one, this is an easy fix. Most people do not fix this, right? Because it's not an issue if you're not on the road. And if you're gonna drive this in your own property, you don't use signals, you don't use hazards, right? So it's only usually fixed, and on all the John Deeres I've gotten over all the years, it's always been broken. But if you do fix it, it's pretty easy to fix that. The other thing I want to add on is the seats. Seats are always going to be bad, right? After a couple of years, you're going to get a tear in the seat, especially if you leave this machine outside. You're going to get a bunch of tears, a bunch of cracks. Water gets in there, and then it's gone, right? So this seat is brand new, and this one has the real nice multi-point adjustment seat on it. But this is another common issue with seats and the backhoe seats. The backhoe seat on this one could be changed. However, it's very common to see them kind of like this, just left just like that with some tape on it. But that also could be changed. This seat is $100 on the backhoe, and it's about $200 on the main tractor. So for $300, you can get 2 brand new seats and change it yourself, or you could pay the dealer probably an hour and have them do it for you. Not a big deal, right? So those are real common issues, is seats on the John Deeres, and also any tractor, I would say.